Well, good morning. So we are taking up today marine cargo insurance. Marine cargo insurance. My voice is clearly visible to all of you. Presentation is also visible. Can you see the presentation? Okay, good. Okay, now let us see. Marine cargo insurance we are taking up today. Marine is a different kind of branch. Marine cargo insurance means goods, cargo or commodities in transit. In transit means the goods is carried by any mode of convenience. Goods is carried by any mode of convenience in the transit. Mode of convenience means it can go by water route, by air route, by land route, by post, by courier, by rail. All these options are open with the consignor and consignee, seller and buyer, or even by the sender or receiver. If I am sending something to you, I have to select the method how I have to send. By air route, by water route, by land route, by train or by road route, or even if the item is small, by courier. So all these options are open. In business, in trade, in family relations, in services, these things are required because certain things are available at one place, other things are available at other place. Everybody needs everything. So the transportation of goods is required everywhere, in every country, in every state, in every city even. So goods in transit by any mode of conveyance is attaching the risk with it. Means there is a possibility of loss or damage at any point of time. If I am sending 1 tin of desi ghee to you by air route or by train route, there is a possibility it can leak or damage any time. If the train is meeting with an accident, there could be loss. So number of reasons are there of the losses. So from the safety point of view, when person is sending something, he will prefer to insure it. And when he will take the policy for the goods in transit, the policy will be called as marine cargo insurance. Is it clear to all of you? Are you understanding? This is in simple language. Okay. When some goods is sent from one place to another place through any mode of conveyance, risk is there, so this is required to be insured, and the policy issued for that goods in transit is called marine cargo insurance. Now, this marine cargo insurance has some special features. Why? In other contracts, there are only two parties, insured and insurer. But in marine cargo, there are normally three parties. Insured, insurer and carrier. It could be transporter, it could be railway, it could be airport authority, it could be ship owner. Third person is involved. And the next one is it is freely assignable. And interest or rights in goods and insurance keep changing. I am sending 3 washing machines to Chennai, to you. Now, my mood changes. One buyer came to me. By the time it reached to Bhopal, a person told me, give me all those 3 washing machines, I'll pay you that much. My mind changed. I said, okay, train will stay at the Bhopal, you can take the delivery. I'm selling you, you pay me online. And he can take the delivery. Because this policy is freely assignable. When the railway authorities will ask me that this goods will go to Chennai, you have paid for Chennai fare, why we will give it at the Bhopal only? I'll tell them, I've got the money, you can give them. This is error. So because the interest is freely assignable, the marine insurance is different to other classes. Insurable interest at the time of loss is required. If you are taking a motor policy, or a policy for your house, or a policy for a shop, insurable interest is required at both the times, while taking the policy and while taking the claim. But in marine insurance, it is required only at the time of loss. Because at the time of insurance, whoever is the owner of the goods, he can change in between. By the time the goods reaches to some place and it is found in the damaged condition, the owner may have got changed. Because here the seller was the owner, there the buyer who is receiving, he will become the owner. The owner will get changed. If there is any loss or damage to that, buyer will claim the losses because he has got the insurable interest at that time. Additional covers of war, risk and strike, right and civil commotion can be opted by payment of additional premium. There are certain additional risks. There is no proposal form in the marine insurance. No prescribed or printed proposal form you will find. Only the bare detail is required. On the basis of that detail, the policy is issued. Secondly, this stamp duty is recoverable from the insured. In other policies, stamp duty is paid by the insurance company. Maybe a fire policy or motor policy. But in marine insurance, stamp duty is recoverable from the insured. Though this amount is very less. Marine insurance is governed by various acts like Carriers Act 1965, Marine Insurance Act 1963, Merchant Shipping Act 1953, Railway Act 1989, the Indian Contract Act 1872. Provisions of these are all applicable. So this is distinguished, this is different from other classes of insurance. See how. Considerations for marine cargo insurance. When you are taking a marine cargo insurance policy, insurance company will ask the detail. What details the company will ask? Who is the insured, who is the consignee? Who means who is taking the policy and to whom the goods is going. What is the nature of cargo? This is an electronic item, this is a edible item, this is a fruit or vegetable, this is a wearable item. What is that? What is goods? Packing, how it is packed. Packing is most important in marine. Because otherwise the goods will be damaged in the transit only. So packing of highly safe material is required. If I am sending electronic items, a fridge, refrigerator. Refrigerator is a heavy item. But its packing has to be in the wooden boxes and cardboard boxes, then only it will go. Otherwise, due to scratches or falling in the transit, this goods will be damaged on the transit only. Voyage, what is the voyage? Means what is the route? How it will go? What is the annual turnover? What is sending limit? Season and duration. How much time it will take? what coverage is required, what are the previous terms of sale, insurance and claim experience of the insured, other terms and conditions like excesses, franchise, warranties. These all details are required before giving the policy. Because there is no proposal form, on the basis of this detail only, the insurance company will issue the policy. So this is the basic detail required. Now, who takes the marine cargo insurance policy? Importer means who is ordering the goods from other countries. He is importing. Exporters, when you are sending the goods to other countries. Manufacturers means businessmen, entrepreneurs who have their factory, industry. CHA, SHA, C&F, they are all agents. Shipping agents, cash handling agents, they are all agents. They can also take policy. Traders, contractors of projects, they can also take. So these are the people who are your target segment for marine cargo insurance. They can take the policy. Normally, traders means even shopkeeper, small and medium entrepreneurs, micro industry owners, industrialists, or even the people who don't have their any firm, but they are trading the goods, sending from one place to another place. They can also take. Me and you can take if we are sending anything to any place. So whoever is sending the goods in transit through any mode of conveyance, he can take marine cargo policy. Nature of transportation against cargo type. Because the packing is important. So it depends upon the material, cargo, goods, how it will be sent. Some goods is sent in containers. It may be hazardous goods like leather, jams and jewelry, clothes, packaged food items, spices, tea, coffee. These are the items sent through containers. Non-containerized means that there is no risk to the goods in open. It can be sent in open. So for example, iron rods, metal, wires, ball bearings, simple cardboard boxes or wooden boxes are enough. Bulk cargo like oil, coal, food grains, LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, sugar, heavy machines, crane, excavators. They are called bulk cargo. So they need specific packing and specific vehicles. Say suppose LPG has to be sent. It cannot go without tankers. Oil has to be sent. Gas has to be sent. Tankers are required. Sugars, bags are required. Food grains, bags are required. Project cargo, project related goods. Turbines, machines to be installed, manufacturing concern, transformers. Under deck versus over deck. When the cargo is shipped, means sent through the ship through water route. It is usually a safe risk against storm, tempest, flood, washing overboard, rain, water damage as compared to cargo shipped over deck. Under deck and over deck. Over deck means goods stored on the ship in open, over the deck. Under decks means in the under portion, covered portion. of the ship. So it is protected from the rains, storms, washing overboards. So it is always better to send some perishable item through underdeck if it is going by ship. Then full truckload versus half truckload. We, by our common sense, say if it is full truckload, the risk is higher. Why this is just reverse? Full truckload means less risk. Half truckload means risk is higher. If the consignment is sent full truckload, it is safe, as there are no other type of consignment. But while in case where the consignment is for less than full truck, the chances of loss increases. For example, household goods like TV, machines, clothes, if sent with other goods like iron rods, other customers, the chances of loss will increase. So this is the nature of transportation against cargo type. Now there are some cautious cargoes, means goods which required a specific care. For example, second-hand machinery, fragile cargo, bulk cargo, household goods, hazardous or inflammable cargo, precious cargo. They need extra care because the items are extra hazardous. So caution has to be taken. Now let us see the policies. What are the policies available in the marine cargo section? If any inland transit is there or import or export transit is there, a marine specific policy can be taken. In this policy, there is a single voyage transit power limit, starting once the consignment is loaded on the vessel at consignor's warehouse, ends when the consignment reaches the warehouse of the consignor or the destination covered in the policy. So this is a marine specific policy for specific transits. Storage covered during the ordinary course of transit. Duration clause is applicable after the cargo is discharged at the port of destination. Even if, say, I am transferred to Chennai, I am sending my entire household goods. Only one marine specific policy is required. Once the goods is reached to Chennai, the policy is over. That's all. It can continue for 3 days, 4 days. If the goods is not unloaded, then the duration clause will apply. For how many days I am permitted to unload. Once it is unloaded and safely delivered, policy is over. So this is one marine specific policy. Second policy is open policy, marine open policy. Annual policy for transit where the cover is granted for a full year. If I am running a textile mill, I am sending the clothes to entire country or by our franchisees, distributors, dealers. So I need a policy for the complete 1 year. That is the open policy for inland transit. Goods may be going by the road or by the train. So the insured has to make payment for full sum insured in advance. Declaration facility for each and every consignment at an agreed date for the cargo in transit. So this policy can be taken for the complete 1 year. This is open policy. Then open cover. If I am sending, importing or exporting something beyond the territory of the country, import export, foreign trade, in that case open cover is required. This can be annual policy for import export where the cover is granted for a full year. Insured has to make payment for full sum insured in advance. Declaration facility is there for each and every consignment at an agreed date for the cargo and transit from his warehouse and vice versa. Declaration means, suppose I have taken a policy for 1 crore. My one transit is going for say 20 lakh rupees. So I will send the declaration to the insurance company, my one transit of 20 lakh rupees is going. My sum insured will reduce by 20 lakh rupees because one consignment has gone. So next time, the next declaration will reduce the sum insured from the remaining 80 lakh amounts. So that declaration serves the purpose, how much consignments have been sent and how much sum insured have been utilized by the insured. So sum insured can be reinstated midst of the policy, period at the rate. Premium reduces after each and every declaration. This is open cover. One more policy is there for duty insurance for import policies only. When the goods is imported from the other country, the custom will impose the duty. So for duty, the duty will cost very high according to the value of the goods. So for that cover provided for import duty only. The consignee can cover the actual import duty paid to release the goods. If the duty is not paid, the custom authority will not release the goods. If there is loss to the consignment during the transit from port of discharge to the consignee's warehouse or the destination covered in the policy, the duty lost is also paid along with the loss of cargo. So this is to cover the duty amount. Now see, if you are sending the goods through cargo or through air, so there are specific planes, aeroplanes, which are called cargo planes, which will carry the goods. The factories or industries or the people who are frequently sending the goods by air, they know how the goods will go by cargo plane. Sometimes even letters or the couriers also goes by air. So there is marked on the envelopes also by air. Tank barges. These barges, tanks are to carry the goods through the water route, through sea or through port to port. They are utilized for carrying the goods only. Now voyage or transit route. If we are sending some goods, we have to declare voyage. What will be the route? Whether the transit is through Middle East countries, Somalia, Pakistan, Israel, if it is the case of the import-export. If these countries are coming on the way, like Somalia, Pakistan, Israel, Middle East, they are almost our enemy countries. The possibility of losses of the goods is very high. Our not enemies, all of them are not enemy, but these countries are always involved in the wars or enemy operations. So there is the possibility of loss or damage. Say suppose right now, Ukraine and Russia are involved in the war. If we are sending any goods through that route, possibility of loss or damage to the goods is 100%. Similarly, Israel and Philippines are involved in war. Israel or Lebanon are involved in war. If these countries are on the way, either the insurance company will decline the risk or will charge the higher rate for that. It depends upon the time factor. Not always. All the countries are not engaged in the wars. But there could be enemy countries, say India, Pakistan. So they may have some different kind of relations. So whether the cargo is shipped under clean bill of lading. Bill of lading is one document which is required when you are sending the goods through the ship. If the project cargo or heavy machines are loaded and unloaded under supervision or not, whether there is a route map laid down for the shipment of cargo or not, whether ship or plane or lorry is worthy for the said transit or not. Vessel, lorry or plane's age, carrying capacity, country of registration. These are the particulars required when marine policy is issued by the insurance company, because all this detail have to be declared by the proposal. Marine clauses. Marine insurance policies are issued with certain clauses, and these clauses are as per the option of the insured who is taking the policy. Mr. Y. Madhu has raised the hand. Do you want to ask anything, Mr. Madhu? Or this is by mistake? Why Madhu is here? Is this by mistake? Okay. So marine cargo clauses are there. What type of clauses are there? Let us see. These are the inland transit clauses. Inland means within the country. If I am sending some goods within the country, what coverage I want, these are the options available to me. These are three clauses. Marine inland transit clause A, inland transit clause B, and inland transit clause C. Now, shorter is the clause, lower is the premium. Bigger is the clause, higher is the premium. So clause C is the smallest. In clause C, only two risks are covered: physical loss or damage to the subject matter insured caused by fire or light. Only these two risks are covered. So lower premium has to be paid. If I am opting for clause B covers some extra risk in addition to fire and lighting, like breakage of bridges, collision with or by the carrying vehicles, overturning of the carrying vehicles, derailment or accidents of light nature to the carrying railway, wagon, vehicle, etc. So this clause B is bigger. Premium rate is also higher. Then the clause A, this is the biggest. Biggest means this also covers the risk of any other risk not specifically excluded in the policy or the clauses. Mind one thing, all these three clauses are applicable for inland transit only. If I am sending some goods from Jaipur to Bhopal, Jaipur to Chennai, Jaipur to Bangalore, Jaipur to Mumbai, then only I have got the option to select any of these clauses according to my policy. If I want to pay the low premium, I want to take only fire and lighting risk, I will take the clause C. If I want that my goods should be protected from everything, then I will go for clause A, that is bigger. I am ready to pay the premium. So these are for the inland transit only. If I am exporting or importing some goods, these clauses are not applicable. You have to be very specific for that. So these are only inland transit clause. Okay. Now, if I am sending by railroad, then what risks are excluded? Willful misconduct, ordinary losses, insufficiency of packing, delay, inherent vice. By railroad, this photo is not appropriate because air photo is not required here. Better to delete it, this will confuse. This is applicable only case of railroad. Railroad means by this method. If it is a LPG or oil or petrol, this will go in tanker. If this is some solid material, this will go like this. If I am sending through the railways, this will go like this because these are the goods trains. So this is the way how lorries and cargo trains are carrying the goods within the country. That is why this is known as the inland transit. Clear? Then comes to the overseas. Overseas means if I am exporting or importing some goods. So that is called overseas trade. There again, institute cargo clauses are there. Mind the difference. If it is inland transit, the inland transit clauses are there, A, B and C. If it is overseas, institute cargo clauses are there. They are again A, B and C. They are again A, B and C. But the difference is these are institute cargo clauses and they are inland transit clauses. So inland refers to within the country. Institute cargo clause refers to beyond the country, overseas. Now institute cargo clauses are common to the entire world. Because if I am sending the goods to America, American rules will apply. If I am sending to England, British rule will apply. So these institute cargo clauses are common to whole world. They are designed by the overseas trades, by the London underwriters. So they are. This marine insurance is international in nature. International nature means I can send goods to any place. So the international rule will apply. But the pattern will be same. Say for example, I am selecting clause C for my goods or my cargo. So the clause C will be the smallest cover, which is covering only 7 disks. But for overseas trade, these 7 disks are different. These are fire and explosion, vessel or craft being stranded, grounded, sunk and capsized. This will apply if the goods is going by sea route. Then overturning or derailment of land conveyance in case of land or train route. Collision or contact of vessel, craft or conveyance with any extended object. This is again collision or contact of vessel, craft or conveyance with any external object. This is applicable to all the categories. Ship can collide with any boat, truck can collide with any truck, train can collide with anything. Discharge of cargo at a port of distress. Port of distress means at the time of trouble, at the time of some problem, when the ship is about to sink, some collision is there. Discharge of cargo. Goods have to be removed to save the ship, to save the remaining goods. General average sacrifice. Here again, goods have to be removed. So loss or damage will be of the goods only. Then jettison. An effort to throw or send the goods in the water. That is called jettison in case of emergency. So only these 7 disks are covered under the clause C, which is applicable to the overseas trade, that is institute cargo clause C. Coming to institute cargo clause B, that is slightly bigger than the C. Because in addition to these 7 disks, clause B is also covering general average and salvage charges, both to blame clause, washing overboard, and earthquake, volcanic eruptions, or lightning. Also, the entry of sea, lake, or river water into vessel, craft, or containers. So, up to this level, clause B is covering the risk. It means the premium will be slightly higher for clause B for overseas trades. If clause A is selected, that means total loss of any package lost overboard or dropped is covered. Any other risk not specifically excluded is covered. Some exclusions are also covered in clause A because the premium rate is high. So these three clauses, Institute Cargo Clause A, Institute Cargo Clause B and C, are applicable to the export and import, means overseas trades. If the trade goods is sent within country, then the inland transit clause will apply. And this inland transit clause are also same A, B and C. C will be the smallest, B will be the smaller, and then A will be the bigger. Here again, for overseas trade, Institute Cargo Clause C is the smallest, B is bigger, and the A is the biggest. So that understanding has to be very clear. Overseas transit general exclusions. These are the losses. You choose either of the clauses. These losses are excluded. Willful misconduct, ordinary losses, insufficient, unsuitable or defective packing, inherent vice, approximately caused by delay, insolvency or financial default of owners, nuclear or radioactivity. These risks are not covered under any of the clauses, maybe A, B or C. They are the general exclusions. These are the different kind of ships used for carrying the goods. They are known as the vehicle carrier or oil tanker. If the ship is carrying the petrol or diesel or gas, this type of the oil tanker will carry it. And open hatch cargo ships. Here, this is called overboard. And under this deck, it is called under deck. So over deck, over the deck, and under the deck is like this. So the Institute Cargo Clause says, insurer to minimize the losses. It is the duty of the assured and their servants and agent in respect of loss recoverable to take such measures as may be reasonable for the purpose of averting or minimizing such losses. This is necessary because if the ship is going, ship captain is saying cyclone is coming or some storm is coming. In that case, it is the duty of the captain to save the ship. And for that purpose, he can throw the goods deliberately to save the ship, to minimize the load on the ship. This is a routine event in the sea area. So the measures are to be taken for the purpose of averting, minimizing losses, and to ensure that all rights against carriers, bailies, or other third parties are properly preserved and exercised in the underwriter's will. So they are applicable to all the three clauses, A and B and C. Now these are the additional covers. For inland transit, riot, strike and civil commotion, loading and unloading. On payment of additional premium, these covers can be taken with any of the clause. These are available. You can say call them add-on covers or riders. For inland transit, these are the two options. For overseas transit, in case of import, war risk, strike right and civil commission, loading and unloading, custom duty insurance. 4 add-on covers are there. For export, when the goods is sent to other countries, war, strike right and civil commission, and loading and unloading. Custom duty is not here because the custom duty has to be paid there, so the buyer will pay it. So these are the additional covers available for customers to take on payment of additional premium. Now these are the LPG carriers. How LPG is carried through the water route, through the ships. Because ship doesn't mean you will fill the LPG in anything. There has to be the proper packing, proper method of carrying. If the proper storage is not there, the gas cannot be carried. Petrol cannot be carried. Then comes the duration clause. Duration clause means when the cover will commence and when the cover will expire. What is the coverage duration? Say for example, cover commences from supplier's warehouse, interior at UK. Means if I am importing something from UK, I have taken a policy, my risk will commence from the supplier's warehouse. So from the warehouse to port of landing, it will go by road route. Warehouse to port of loading, it will go by road route. That risk is covered. Port of loading to the port of discharge, it will go by air route. That can also be covered. But it may be by air or it may be by ship. So both the journeys can be connected in one policy only. It depends upon the place to place. So from UK, London to Mumbai, India. Or from London warehouse to the port of London by road route, and then from London to Mumbai by ship. So both the journeys are connected. So Mumbai would be the port of discharge and the London would be the port of loading. All mode of conveyance can be covered under the one journey. When the cover will terminate? Terminates whichever shall occur first. What? Either delivery at site or delivery at any warehouse or expiry of 60 days, 30 days or 7 days after discharge. 60 days in case of water route, 30 days in case of air route, 7 days in case of land or road route. Either the delivery at the site is given or delivery at the warehouse is given or expiry of 60 days, 30 days or 7 days. So that will be the cover duration where from the risk will commence from the supplier's warehouse. Ditiksha Swarup conduit, yes. I repeat again, duration clause refers to the coverage of the policy when the risk will commence and when it will terminate. So risk will commence from the supplier's warehouse, then to the port of loading, Port of loading could be airport or the seaport. If it is going by the air, it will go to airport. If it is going by the ship, that will be the seaport. Port of discharge will be the place where the goods have been sent. So when the risk will terminate, either delivery at site, delivery at any warehouse or expiry of the days prescribed for that. Then institute cargo clause duration will depend upon the days prescribed for the journey. This says insurance attaches from the time the goods leave the warehouse or place of storage at the place named therein, or commencement of the transit continues during the ordinary course of transit and terminates either on delivery to the consignee or at the final warehouse or place of storage at the destination named therein. Same thing. Again, duration on delivery to any other warehouse or place of storage, whether prior to or at the destination named therein, which the assured select to the either. Select to use either. Secondly, for storage other than in ordinary course. Thirdly, for allocation or distribution, or on the expiry of 60 days. So then the cover will expire. Or if you want to understand more clearly, with more clarity, this is the schedule. Mode of transit is by rail, by road. Time limit is 7 days of arrival and destination. Mode of transit is by air. Time limit is 30 days of unloading at destination or airport. Mode of transit is by post or say by sea. By sea, the time limit is 60 days after discharge from the ship. Or in case by post, 50 days of notice of arrival of parcel. So this is the way the cover will expire. If it is delivered, cover will expire immediately. If it is not unloaded, that much time is prescribed for all purposes. Maybe it is gone by railroad route, by air route, by sea route, or by post. Now, refrigerated cargo ship is also required for certain items, certain perishable items, food items, edible items. Say suppose 1000 ton milk has to be supplied from Sweden to India or from New Zealand to India. This will come in the refrigerated cargo ship because it may take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Otherwise, the inherent vice will damage the milk. By milk will be useless, not for use if it is taking more than the prescribed time. So the bulk cargo carriers are also there for liquids or perishable items. And then sales contract, Incoterms. Incoterms means under Sales of Goods Act, when inland transit is involved, prima facie the risk in goods moves from one seller to buyer at the time of property is transferred. Now, in export or import, the transfer of risk and transfer of property are separated. But in international sales, the insurable interest depends on terms and nature of Incoterms. So these Incoterms are used for international trades. Now, who can take the policy? Based on the terms of sale, either the purchaser or the seller or the community purchase insurance can take the policy. In terms of the sales could be C&F, that is called cost and freight. Here the buyer's responsibility for covering the risk from seller's warehouse to his own warehouse. So here the buyer will take the policy under the C&F contract. If the CIF contract is there, that is cost, insurance and freight. Here seller's responsibility is there to cover the risk from his own warehouse to the buyer's warehouse. So here the seller will take. Then there is FOB, free on board. Here the seller's responsibility for covering the risk is up to the port of loading. And after that, the buyer has to cover the risk. Then CIP, seller's risk till the named destination in the policy. Exberg, seller's risk expires once the consignment leaves the warehouse of the seller. Now certain documents are different in marine insurance. Say for example, copy of invoice, bill of lading, airway bill, lorry receipt, railway receipt, packing list. They are all required at the time of claim because the insurance company will ask for all these documents to verify. This could be the nature of loss. Collision of ships. Two ships collided. There is a fire in the sea. Loss of cargo due to train accidents. This is normal, you must have seen on the railway tracks. Road accidents, vehicle can collide, vehicle can overturn, vehicle can be fired, vehicle can put on fire. Breakage of bridge. All these losses are possible. So type of losses in marine are different. These could be constructive total loss, particular average, general average, fuel and labor charges, forwarding charges. They are all nature of losses. Different kind of losses are reported to the insurance company and different kind of claims are settled. They are known like that, like say for example constructive total loss, where the expenses incurred to recover the damaged goods to repair exceeds the total value of the cargo. This is called constructive total loss. Particular average means partial loss or partial damage caused fortuitously by a peril insured. General average means maybe either a sacrifice or an expenditure, extraordinary in nature, voluntary and reasonably incurred. So in time of general peril, for the common safety of the maritime adventures, like jettison, it is called general average. Then fuel and labor charges, all expenses incurred for taking all practical steps to avoid or minimize losses. And then forwarding charges. They are all nature of different type of losses. And these are the perils which can cause the losses to the goods in transit. Goods may be going by sea route, by air route, by train route or by road route. Any of these peril can be there to cause the loss. They include all fire, lightning, breakage, leakage, explosion, earthquake, storm, short landing, jettison, piracy. They includes all. This is the way how the goods is placed in the ships. These are the claim documents required at the time of loss. And then recovery in marine cases is special things. Once a claim is paid by the insurance company to the insured, the insurance company will take the subrogation letter and they will file a claim on the carrier to recover the amount. Carrier could be a truck owner, a railway authority, airlines authority, or port authorities. Insurance company can recover the claim from all. They may file the cases. This is the practical case of the Bhavnagar breakage of bridge. The bridge was broken and the entire trailer is fallen on the water. Complete total loss was paid. This is again a practical loss. Bhavnagar case study is there. So this is all about the marine insurance. If you have any questions, you can ask me. If you have any doubts, I will explain.